Wisdom, one, one. Wisdom, one, one. Wisdom, one, one. Wisdom, one, one.
Shalom, shalom, beloved. Grace and completeness. This is your sis, NuriYAH, aka NuriYAH 1, and welcome to the Wisdom 1 podcast. It is a Barak and beautiful Yam as always. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, this is a special conversation. We're going to talk about fake fruit today. Yes. This is a topic that is so necessary and needed in our family. Now, before we get into it, what we're going to do is give all esteem to Yahuah and his one and only son, Yahushua, our Mashiach, and the Ruah Kadash be lifted and esteemed always. Okay. Now, as we already know, there are countless discoveries in the scriptures. There's so many treasures that we can find. There's so much hakamah, so much wisdom and understanding to receive from these living words of infinite life. Brothers and sisters, this Yom, we will speak on one of those priceless discoveries that the Ruah has revealed. Okay? In Abri, the scriptures are, when they're read, they're tangible and solid. We go over this all the time. There's such a barak and blessed intention to have this so we can receive that brilliant light, so we can see what's really being said. So there was a scripture that I used to pray about often. After reading it, I didn't understand it, which happens a lot when you're reading the word. It just depending on where you're at in your halak, in your journey, you really don't understand things depending on where you're at. And sometimes the Ruah will reveal it, and sometimes he says, wait. But we're always to seek. And so there was this particular scripture that I was like, I don't understand this fully. However, I accepted it with the amunah that I have in the Father and his Son and in the Word. And I prayed about it and I let it go. And my husband, Yesad, had taught on this very scripture that I didn't understand, okay? And the subject of his teaching was in season and out of season. And after that lesson, I said, thank you, Yahuah. I now have an insight on what you were speaking of, okay? Then years later, I read the very same chapter again. Even the ones that my husband had given, the ones that I didn't understand, the ones that my husband taught on, and then I received understanding from, which is amazing, from the Ruah. And this is why we're called to continue to read his word so we can receive what needs to be received. And so these very same scriptures, years later, I read, and Allah was so generous. He decided to allow the Ruah to give me more living manna from the same scripture verses, family. And the verses that I'm speaking of is Marcus, also known as Mark, chapter 11, verses 12 through 14. But before we actually read those scriptures, I want to give a little background on the story. Okay, so let's backtrack for a moment. And I want to share with you, brothers and sisters, beloved, what I received. So in the beginning, in the book of Marcus 11:1, it tells us how Yahushua and his Lamuad, aka his disciples, came near to Jerusalem to Bat Pag and Bat Aneh at the Mount of Olives. Now, here's where the Abri is so important, family. Bat means house, okay? It's the place, home or lodge, or an area that's marked and represents a house. I will and will have lessons on that word alone, conversations for other days, other moments. So what they have translated and what they have written in scripture, you'll see is Fagi, right? And Bethany, which is indeed Bat Pag and Bat Ana or Ane. Okay? The translation of these places in Abri is the house of the unripe fig. Also, and that would be Bat Pag. Bat Ane is house of affliction. Very important details, beloved. Very important details. So keep that in mind as we go about reading these scriptures. So we're going to go to Marcus 11, 12 through 14. Let's read. And on the next day, when they had come out from Bat Ane, he was hungry. And we're talking about our Mashiach Yahushua. Okay? And seeing at a distance a fig tree having leaves, he went to see whether he would find anything on it. And when he came to it, he found not but leaves. For it was not season for figs. And Yahushua responding said to it, let no one eat fruit from you ever again. And his Talmudim, a.k.a. Lamuad, a.k.a. disciples, heard it. And they came to Jerusalem. Yahushua, entering into the Makdash, began to drive out those who sold in the Makdash and overturn the tables of money changers and the seats of those selling doves. Praise Yahuah. Okay. We could have omitted that particular scripture, but that's still very relevant to what we're saying, actually. So I'm glad we read 15 as well. Thank you, Yahuah, for your word. Thank you. So I want to go over this. And I love this. We're going to discover this treasure together, family. Mashiach was hungry after coming out of Bat Ane, which they translated it to be Bethany. But in Abri, let's look at this in context. Mashiach was hungry after coming out of the house of affliction. In Abri, Bat Ane. Think about that. That's amazing. It makes everything so profound. Abri is so important. Mashiach was hungry after coming out of the house of affliction, which was that area. This shows us every single word in detail has a purpose, own purpose. Allow Yahuah. And in the distance, he sees a fig tree having leaves. He goes to the fig tree and finds no fruit. But the scripture says it was not season for figs at that time. So this was always the question that I had. And let's ponder it together. So we think about this. Mashiach, why are you mad at the fig tree when it wasn't season for the figs to be on the trees? It says in the word that it was not season for figs at this time. Why would you be upset, Mashiach? Why are you so upset at the tree? It wasn't season. He responded to the point where he said, let no one eat fruit from you ever again. And then we look a little closer. There's another point, the one we already discussed. It's not fig season, okay? And two, one of the places where he was traveling through was literally called House of the Unripe Fig. Oh, his word. Some of you already just feeling this. Now, truth is that this is why my husband's teaching was so profound for me, and I gained so much through it because, what the Ruah gave him is that we must be ready in season and out of season. There's no excuse. I love that, and I receive that, and that is true. Oh, but family, the Ruah decided to give more manna from this. See, there's a detail that we might have overseen in the scripture. And that is this particular fig tree had leaves. So I had to look into the agricultural sense of this and find out. Well, this was obviously a profound point, and it is because Mashpah family, fig trees do not have leaves out of season. This fig tree was fronting. It was faking. It was pretending to have fruit. Wow. See, we must be prepared in and out of season. But basically, this particular fig tree was pretending to have produced fruit. Hence the title, fake fruit. There was none. See, the leaves on this tree, all the others were what? Barren. Because that's how they look in the season of not having any fruit or producing fruit. That's how fig trees look. They're barren. They don't have any leaves. But this particular tree was pretending and had a whole bunch of leaves, to the point where Mashiach walked over there to the tree to look at it, expecting to see something miraculous possibly there. Expecting to see the fruit there. And when he seen, and what he seen was nothing. That tree with the leaves had no fruit. None. And so that's why Yahushua, our Mashiach, responded saying to it, let no one eat fruit from you ever again. And his students, his Lamuad, heard it. That's so deep. So we're going to go to Marcus 11, 20 and 21, because his Lamuad heard it. And in the morning passing by, they saw the fig tree dried up from the roots. Then Kapha, also known as Peter, remembering, said to him, Rabbi, look, the fig tree which you cursed has withered. Mm-hmm. And Yahushua answering, this is 22, said to them, have belief in Ruah. For truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be removed, and to be thrown into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says, it shall be done. He shall have whatever he says. Come on now. Barak Sham Yahuah and his one and only son. Thank you. Come on. That is just in those verses alone, packed with life. And the lesson for us to see. In every word that we speak, the word debar in Abri means in the word, there's substance. Debar means word, but there is substance. In every word spiritually, there's something. There's life that's carried in it. This tells us much. There's such a valuable lesson in all of this. Let's go back just a little bit. Beloved, Mashiach just came out of the house of affliction, and he was hungry and seen what to appear to be a tree with fruit, only to find that it was a fake. The result, everlasting death. We must pay close attention to this cautionary tale. Family, it's dangerous as believers, dangerous to fake bearing fruit. We must not ever have the appearance of bringing forth nourishment for others and say we're working for Mashiach, Yahushua, and be barren and have nothing for those coming out of the house of affliction that reaps everlasting punishment, a curse of lifeless existence. It damages regal sovereign roots to be eternally dried up beings and souls. If that tree would just showed its authentic barren branches, if it just revealed who it really was, its life probably would have been spared. But instead, it gave the appearance of production, of nourishment, of fruit, to the point where it caught our Mashiach's eye. But when he came close, it was all a lie, a front, a fake. And then it was cursed. And you know, it was so amazing, as we read in Marcus, also known as Mark, chapter 11, verse 20 and 21. The results were seen instantly, which gives us that very valuable lesson on the spoken word. With faith, right after the results were seen. Oh yes, he's incapable of telling us the disbelief or a lie. He is not a man that he could. He is the sovereign, omnipotent, omnipresent Yahuah. and his one and only son, Yahushua Mashiach, is also Ruah. He is not his father, let's be clear. The Father is the Father. The Son is the Son. The Father brought him forth. But he indeed comes from his Father, who is Ruah. So he is indeed Ruah. Mashiach does not lie. So, family, oh, beloved family, we must always authentically be who we are. No matter where that is in our walk, we are all learning. We are all learning. If somebody says that they have it all together, you already know that's not the truth. We are all learning. It's okay. Because if we fake fruit, it has devastating outcomes. Yahushua, our Mashiach, does not play with authenticity and truth. And neither does his Ab, who is our Ab, Yahuah Sabah. Authenticity and truth in our walk, in our actions, always is the way we need to go. We have to be truthful. And in him, no matter where we're at, authenticity always is the truth. All right, Mashpa'ah family, that is going to be all for us this Yom. Again and again and again, I thank you so much, Mashpa'ah family. Thank you to all my new family members joining the Wisdom One podcast. And if there's anything inspirational that you hear here, please, you can share with whomever you want to share with. And if you are spiritually led, however the Ruah leads you, do that. And I thank you for your kindness. And I thank you for coming and joining me as we have these family conversations and talks. You already know you are loved with an everlasting, ever-enduring Ahab love. And we must always walk in what? Ahad unity and Ahab love. Shalom, shalom, family.
Wisdom, one. Wisdom, one. Wisdom, one. Wisdom, one.